Hi guys. So at this point, we've done a lot of practice with converting units, and we kind of ignored this little section of this conversion chart. So these are some equations that you do need to memorize because some of the problems that we're going to look at next are going to have shapes in them, and you're going to need to find the volumes or circumference of those shapes in order to answer the question. Okay, so let's look at, we did all this. Let's look at this question together. So right away, I see that the question is about an atom, and an atom has the shape of a circle. Okay, and they're telling me that the radius of the atom is 90 picometers. So that means from the center of the atom to the edge is 90 picometers. So that's not so important right now. I'm going to read the rest of the question and see what they're asking me. So I want to know how many of these atoms would be required to form a line 1 mile long if the atoms were placed just touching edge to edge. So I'm basically going to line the atoms up for a mile and see how many atoms would be in that line. Okay, so the first thing I always want to do, and this is always going to be the same, is to write what I'm given, which is 1 mile. Okay, now because they gave me the radius of the atom in picometers, I want to convert the length of a mile to picometers. So the first thing I can do, if I look at my conversion chart, I know that I could get rid of the unit miles by changing it to kilometers. And now that's good because now I'm in the metric system. I got rid of miles and I'm in like the meters. Now I just have to worry about changing the prefixes. So to get rid of kilometers and change kilometers to regular meters, I know that in 1 meter, there's 10 to the negative third kilometers. And again, guys, I'm just getting this from my conversion chart. These are ones that you should have memorized already. Okay. So now if I go back to, now we haven't really looked at units that are really, really small, but picometers is right here. So I know that 1 meter is equal to 10 to the 12 picometers. So that can be my next conversion factor. Meters is going to go on the bottom because I want them to cancel out, and 10 to the 12 picometers will go on top. Okay, so now my kilometers cancel out, my meters cancel out. So now I basically, if I solved right now, that would tell me how many picometers are in a mile. But that's not what the question is asking. The question wants to know how many atoms would that be. Okay, so what they're doing here is they're giving me a conversion factor. If I want to know the diameter of an atom, I would take the radius, which is 90, and I would multiply it by 2. So I know one atom has a width of 180 picometers. So here is a conversion factor that they're giving me in the question. I could either write 180 picometers per atom, per one atom, or I could write it this way. One atom is equal to 180 picometers. So if you look down here, I want picometers to cancel out, and picometers is on the top. So in my next set of parentheses, I'm going to want to put picometers on the bottom. And I'm going to end up with the unit atom, which is what I want to know. I want to know how many atoms are in that line. Okay, so if I plug this in my calculator and I multiply across the top, so you're going to do 1 times 1.61 times 1 times 10 to the 12 times 1, hit equals. Then you're going to divide by everything on the bottom. Divide by 1 equals. Divide by 10 to the negative 3 equals. Divide by 1 equals. and divide by 180 equals. And you should get 5.6 times 10 to the 12 atoms. And it makes sense, guys, that this is a really big number because atoms are really small. So to line them up for a mile, it's going to take a lot of atoms. Okay? All right, let's look at the next question. So again, guys, the next question is about a swimming pool. So I already know that I'm going to need to use a formula from my chart because this question has a shape in it. Okay? So when I think about a swimming pool, I probably am imagining a cylinder, kind of like this. And sometimes it helps to draw a picture. So they're telling me that the height of the swimming pool is 4 feet and the diameter is 72 inches. So I'm going to show that going across. Notice that they're not given to you in the same unit. So when you go to find the volume of this swimming pool, you're going to have to convert either one or both of those numbers so that they are in the same unit. So now they're telling us a hose is left on and we're filling the pool at a rate of 500 milliliters per minute. So that's a conversion factor that I'm going to have to use later on. And I want to know how many days it will take to completely fill it. So if you think about volume, right? So volume for a cylinder is pi r squared h, right? Now, if the pool is being filled in milliliters per minute, I know that 1 milliliter is equal to 1 centimeter cubed. I know that those units are the same size. So it would make sense for me to find the volume of my swimming pool in centimeters cubed, because then later I can just plug this conversion factor right in and solve for what they're asking me. Okay? So let's do the radius first. It's 72 inches divided by 2, right? Because 72 is the diameter. I want to know the radius. So the radius of the swimming pool is 32 inches. Okay? I want to convert that to centimeters. So I know that in 1 inch, there's 2.54 centimeters. My inches cancel out, and I end up with 91.4 centimeters. So that's my radius. My height, I'm going to need height for my volume equation too. So they gave me 4 feet as my height. I want to get 4 feet to centimeters. So I have to convert feet to inches first. So there's 12 inches in 1 foot. And then I want to get rid of inches and change that to centimeters. Feet cancel out, inches cancel out. If I multiply across, I get a height of 121.9 centimeters. Okay, so now that everything is in the same unit, I can go ahead and plug in my volume. So volume equals pi times radius squared. So that's 91.4 centimeters squared times height, which is 121.9 centimeters. And when you multiply those three numbers together, you get a really big number. Centimeters cubed. Okay? Because 1 centimeter cubed is equal to 1 milliliter, I can also say that the swimming pool has a volume of that many milliliters. So why is it useful to convert it to milliliters? Like we looked at before, the rate it takes 1 minute to fill 500 milliliters of the pool. So in the rate conversion, they're giving us milliliters. Okay, so let's go from here. I'm going to start with what I'm given, which is how many milliliters total are in the swimming pool. And I know that in 1 minute, I can fill 500 milliliters. So I want to put the milliliters on the bottom because I want them to cancel out with the milliliters on the top. Okay. Anytime they give you a conversion factor in a question, you can write it upside down if you need to. Okay. So now I want to know how many days it's going to take to fill the pool. So now these are just easy conversions. I know that there's 60 minutes in 1 hour. So this is going to help me get rid of minutes. And I know that there's 24 hours in 1 day. So that's going to get rid of hours for me. And now I'm left with days, which is what I want to be left with. That's what it says right here. So multiply across, you're multiplying by 1, so it's just that big number. Then you're going to divide by 500, hit equals. Divide by 60, hit equals. Divide by 24 and hit equals. And you should get a total of 4.4 days. Okay?